Well, listen, I've got to ask right off the bat, if you could you share a couple of those business lessons that you learned before you turned 30? And do they still apply today?
Well, I was trying to think, what applies to laundromats, and a lot of them do. And I think one of them is to be careful working with family. Um, I do have two kids that are on the payroll, but
Hmm.
what I learned was, a lot of people, especially in a small business like a laundromat, you might be inclined to hire your family, and that's great. There's nothing wrong with that. But you need to make sure that they're actually doing the job that you would expect of an outside employee. So I tell my kids that, if you don't do it, I'll fire you. I mean, I love you, but I'm going to bring in somebody who's going to do the job that I need. You're on the clock, you're on the payroll. I expect certain things out of you, just like if you were working for a stranger.
Hmm.
So I think it's having those expectations with family. Another thing is, I think that even if you own a small laundromat, you still need to have a business plan. Okay, it doesn't have to be super fancy. I think sometimes people get intimidated by business plans because they think about the one that they have to submit to the bank. And it's 20 pages with all 90 90% of that information you don't need if you're not giving it to people who have no idea about you. But you should have a plan, for what you're doing in the next 1, 2, 3 years. So those would be the two of the biggest things that I would
No,
think
that's
apply.
great advice, Mark. And certainly the business plan is not something you should just put together and then throw in a drawer and forget about it, right? That's kind of it's an evolving living document, right?
Well, I used to do a class on entrepreneurship, and I would tell them it's a living, breathing document. I have it on my desktop. And, I refer to it every month, especially when I update the numbers, but I also look at like, okay, well, what did I have planned coming down the road? And is that still part of the plan? It's obviously, plans change. I call the business plan like a roadmap. Sometimes there's detours. Sometimes there's a new road built. It's a new opportunity.
Right.
So it's not something that, is set, etched in stone. It's a living, breathing document that you use to guide your business.